a.m. I would also like to ask, as a courtesy to all, please ensure that you have silenced your cell phones. Also, I would like to remind our directors to turn their microphones on and off each time they speak to help with the audio and video recordings. Each director received notice of the board meeting. The public meeting notice was properly posted as required by law. Bowles and Christian indicated that they would not be present for this meeting. We have set aside the time to hear from you, the general public. Those of you who are interested in providing comments and filled out the cards available at the receptionist desk will be called to approach the podium to make the comments at this time. Seeing there is no one wishes to speak, we will move forward on the agenda. Agenda item number 1, report and possible discussion on the General Manager CEO report, presented by David Collingsworth, General Manager CEO.
Well, good morning.
Morning.
Had a good dinner last night. I hope those of you that stayed in town had a good night's sleep and are ready for an active day of work. My question to you this morning would be, how does drought end in Texas? It ends in flood. And as an old baseball player, to use maybe a poor sports analogy, if you're going to be a really good hitter, you got to practice. You got to practice all the time. Evidently, the Dodgers hadn't practiced enough because they were unable to do that. But it's always amazing to me how our staff deals with flood, because you don't get to practice. You get thrown in the grease, and you have to deal with very critical and sensitive issues. And the way they deal with that, from a PR strategy, from managing the reservoirs, from operating the gates, is, in my opinion, nothing short of spectacular. We had a lot of water flowing down the Brazos over the last week and a half. We've had enough water in Lake Granbury to have drained it and refilled it over 5 times. Over 700,000 acre feet of water. We could have drained Possum Kingdom and refilled it also. So it's an amazing amount of water. Our staff did a tremendous job in managing that. And again, I don't want you to think they don't practice, they do. But you don't get to hands-on operate and manage those dams until the time is right. And when the time is right, it becomes a critical operation. So kudos to all of you that had your hands on those operations. Job well done. It's operating a dam is a really unique business, and if you're not in the water business, it's kind of a foreign operation. So one of the ways that we're going to continue to answer questions and deal with the public that doesn't deal in our business on a daily basis is we're working now on a video that will go on our webpage, and it'll be an educational video to talk about how we release water, why we release water, when we release water. So it'll be something that homeowners, it'll be something that the media, it'll be something that interested folks can go and get more educated on why we do what we do and how we do it. So look for that. We'll send you a draft of that probably as we approach next summer. We'll be getting closer to having a draft of what that video looks like, but we're real excited to have that as an educational opportunity going forward. Our goal today is to be done about noon. We have a lot of exciting business to talk about and a lot of things to share with you. We've made a lot of progress over the last quarter on some of our risk assessment activities and looking at how we're going to manage projects going forward, how we're going to prioritize, how we're going to spend money going forward. We've kicked off our Tainer Gate project. We're real excited about that. Stantec, our engineering firm, has been at the lake and been doing some work, so we're moving that down the road. And obviously, as you can see, walking in the business, we're kind of ready to evacuate tomorrow and finish our HVAC project. So we've had just a tremendous amount of activities going on in the last quarter, making progress with our projects. One thing that I did want to introduce to you, just going forward to the next board meeting, is that in future board meetings, we're going to take a little bit of time at each board meeting to walk you through and give you updates on some of our larger capital efforts. It gets kind of burdensome in my once a week email to you. So be looking for that at our next board meeting. We'll come in and we'll have some project managers and some folks stand up and really talk about things that we're doing with our wells, with our reservoir projects, and with our capital improvements. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn the meeting over to you, and let's get to work.
Thank you, David. Agenda item number 2, discussion and possible action on letters of credit for Temple Belton and Dozier Farm wastewater treatment operation contracts, presented by Brad Burnett, Central and Lower Basin Regional Manager.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This is an action item. We'll be seeking authorization from you for the general manager to execute letters of credit in favor of the cities of Temple and Belton to secure the continued operation of their wastewater facilities at those plants. So we've got 3 contracts that are involved in this item. They're all planned to be extended for 10 years beginning next year, October the 1st, 2019. All 3 of the contracts are cost reimbursable by the cities, and we have a 3% management fee that we charge on those contracts as well. We have the Temple Belton wastewater treatment plant and associated lift station, and that's a 3-party agreement between the Brazos River Authority, the city of Temple, and the city of Belton. We have the Dozier Farm wastewater treatment plant and associated lift stations, and that agreement is between the Brazos River Authority and the city of Temple, does not include Belton. And then we have the contract for the industrial pretreatment program that's associated with both of those plants. And again, that's a 3-party agreement among BRA, the city of Temple, and the city of Belton. The current contracts were entered in 2014, and they're set to expire on September 30 of 2019. However, those existing contracts provided for up to a 10-year extension. The cities are happy with BRA's performance and are wanting to go ahead and get those extensions in place now before we get to October 1 next year. Just some pictures here so you can kind of put a visual with what we're talking about. It's a picture of the Temple Belton wastewater plant at the top left. Example of one of the lift stations there at the top right. The compost facility that we have at Temple Belton on the bottom left, and then some maintenance work going on at the Temple Belton plant on the lower right there. So the existing contracts that we have contain a performance bond requirement that stipulates that BRA provide a performance bond each year in an amount equal to each year's annual budget. However, due to our status as a governmental entity, we're no longer able to get performance bonds under terms that are reasonable for us. So with these extensions we're looking at next year, we've discussed replacing the performance bond requirement with the letter of credit. Both cities are agreeable to this. The letter of credit that we're talking about with them would be limited to an amount that will be no more than the annual operation and maintenance budgets for those facilities. So in total, that's about $2.8 million. We actually think we'll be able to negotiate the letter significantly less than that, but that would be the maximum. And so again, that's what we're asking for your authorization today, is to be able to negotiate and execute those letters of credit as part of the contract extensions that will be going into effect next year. Questions?
I have a question. Are we replacing a performance bond or a payment bond?
It's a performance bond requirement in the current contracts.
And would this set aside, or this encumbered liquidity also be taken out of our reserve requirement? David?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
How much are we talking about?
The maximum would be 2.8 million, but we're going to propose 25% of that to the city, so it'd be about $700,000 is what I think we'll end up.
And we'll also continue to make an investment return on that money.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I've got a resolution. Oh, yes, sir.
The letter of credit obviously is going to be a fee. There's going to be a fee involved. How does that cost compare to the bond that we had done in the past?
David, do you know what the bond costs? I know the fee for the letter of credit's about 1%, so.
The bond cost is a little over 1% as well. So and then we can turn around and take the money and reinvest it in our CDs and stuff.
If I may, and if we're using a local bank, this is just be a suggestion, and it's funds that are significant in the bank, they would probably negotiate that letter of credit fee somewhat.
70 basis points.
Okay, good.
7%.
So net effect is that it will end up costing less.
Correct.
to do this than it would the bond.
Right. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any others?
It's a good alternative.
Any more questions? Read your resolution, please.
Okay. Whereas the Brazos River Authority currently operates, maintains, and manages the Temple Belton Wastewater Treatment Plant, the Dozier Farm Wastewater Treatment Plant, associated lift stations, and industrial pretreatment programs under contracts with the cities of Temple and Belton that are being extended for a period of 10 years in 2019, parentheses, contracts. And whereas the contracts provide that the Brazos River Authority must provide a performance bond, but due to an inability to secure a performance bond under reasonable terms because of the Brazos River Authority status as a governmental entity, the cities of Temple and Belton have agreed to amend the contracts upon extension to accept a letter of credit in lieu of the performance bond. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager / CEO to execute irrevocable standby letters of credit in favor of the cities of Temple and Belton for the purpose of securing the Brazos River Authority's performance under the contracts, and be it further resolved that the letters of credit will be for an amount up to the approved annual budget for operation, maintenance, and management services provided under the contracts, excluding scheduled capital replacement, and shall be renewed annually throughout the term of the contracts, including any renewal periods.
You've heard the resolutions, motion to adopt. Jim, and second by, can't see him there.
John.
I didn't see the second.
Yeah.
Who seconded?
Who seconded
John.
it? John did, yeah. I couldn't see you, boy. Please, poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zaganino,
Yes.
Director Adams. Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Agenda item number 3, discussion and possible action on East Williamson County Regional Water System, water resources, engineering hydraulic analysis, and groundwater integration study, presented by Trey Busby, Central and Lower Basin Regional Customer Relations Business Manager.
Chairman, directors, thank you so much. Good to see you all this morning. I have an action item today, a request of the board to authorize the general manager to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement for water resources engineering services at the East Williamson County facility for an amount not to exceed $279,000. Brazos River Authority, as you recall, owns and operates the East Williamson County Regional Water Facility on Lake Granger. We have 3 customers at this facility, 2 that are currently taking water, the city of Taylor and Jonah Water Sud. Another customer, Lone Star Regional Water Authority, is expected to begin taking water within the next 18 months from this facility. In addition, we've talked with you about this over the last several board meetings. We have the groundwater production well from the Trinity that we're anticipate completing by the end of this year. And the groundwater from this well will be used and blended with surface water at the facility to augment water supplies. This is a map of the Circleville area where we have take points for our existing customers. Jonah Water Stud has a storage tank located near Circleville. Then we have a couple of storage tanks in the city of Taylor. And then Lone Star Regional Water Authority is building some infrastructure currently to begin taking water from us in the near future. The study that we're proposing has 3 key elements. First, it will provide solutions to improve operational efficiency and management of the East Williamson County system over the next 5 years to meet additional customer demands. Second, with the addition of the groundwater into the system, we're going to do the study to support integration of the Trinity groundwater into the existing surface water system and evaluate blending scenarios. And third, this study will help form the basis of long-term expansion planning activities at this treated water supply system to meet future customer demands beyond the 10 to 20 year time frame. The fiscal year 2019 operating plan already allocates $660,000 for planned improvements to address increased treated water demands and groundwater integration at this facility. The hydraulic analysis and groundwater study totals to $279,574 and is within that FY 2019 approved budget amount. And the staff recommends authorizing the general manager to move forward with negotiation and executing of the contract. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
This individual, is he related to the Freeze and Nichols? His name is Freeze.
No, this is Karen Freeze and Associates out of Austin, and we've done work with them for years. Tom Owens is here representing K. Freeze and Associates this morning, and they've done great work for us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's the capacity of that well?
The capacity of the well, in gallons per minute, it's right around 3,000 GPM. We expect to get 3,000 gallons per minute. That equates to about 3,000 acre feet per year. Once we get in production, we'll have some firmer numbers, but right now, based on the testing we've done and the sampling, it shows between 2,500. Yes, sir, roughly. Yes, sir, groundwater. Yes, sir.
Remind me, they don't have a groundwater conservation district in this county?
No, sir, not in Williamson County. No, sir, that's correct.
Is anyone else drawing water from the aquifer there?
I think the cities of Granger, Bartlett are taking some water. Those are the nearest two communities. Probably as you get further to the east, there's some other water supplies as you get in the Milam County Water Supply Corporation that utilize some of that Trinity groundwater. Yes, sir.
I'm familiar with some conjunctive water challenges.
Yes, sir.
And so since we're going through this process to make sure it can be done, I would just like to suggest that we contact some of our customers that have been challenged with that as well. Because I know for whatever reasons, there have been challenges with bringing groundwater and surface water together.
Yes, sir. And that's a critical component of this study is to look really, I'm not getting down into the details, but looking at the chemistry of blending those two sources of water. There's pH issues, TDS issues, so yeah, that is a very critical issue, and we're going to address that, and we'll take that to account as well. There was one more question, I thought.
He answered my question.
Okay. Anything else?
We dug the test well to prove that the water quality would allow us to blend the two. Now we're looking at the specifics between blending so that we make sure that we don't cause issues within the distribution systems. Right. And so.
Yes, sir.
What is the percentage in the blend?
Initially it was a 2-part surface water to 1-part groundwater. Some more recent sampling we've done shows we might be able to get down to a 1-to-1 ratio, 1-part ground, 1-part surface. But as we bring that well into operation and doing this integration study, that'll help us hone in on what that ratio should be. I mean, that will answer some of those questions.
But it starts out at about 30%.
Yes, sir, that's correct. Yes, sir.
What is the aquifer level there where you're drilling?
Where we've drilled the well is approximately 3,000 feet deep, and I believe we're taking water right at around 2,900 feet. That's where our pumps are set. Other questions?
What aquifer is it?
Trinity.
Trinity.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions? Read your resolution, please.
Yes, sir. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager, CEO, to negotiate and execute a professional services agreement with K. Freeze and Associates for the East Williamson County Regional Water System, Water Resources Engineering, Hydraulic Analysis, and Groundwater Integration Study for an amount not to exceed $279,574.
You've heard the resolution. Motion to adopt by Peter, second by Rick. Please poll the board.
Could I ask one more question before we do the?
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yes, sir.
Because each location in the aquifer can be different, the
yes,
pH levels and all the conjunctive. Will this study try to cover a broad range of future wells, or is we going to have to do a study for each well?
No, this study, so a little bit of history real quick. We went back and we drilled a test well to look at the constructability of the well, the volume of the water, the quality of the water, because we knew there were some water quality, let's call them issues, because of the depth of the well. So this study will be specific to the water quality in this well. Okay. Future wells, hopefully, will be, our goal is to drill 3 to 4 more wells within that same seam of water
Right.
But to make sure that we're getting the blending right and we don't have taste and odor issues or scaling issues in the pipe, it'll be specific to just this well.
Just well, that's correct.
Okay.
But also, to be very clear, the $279,000 is a much bigger picture. It's to make sure that at not only the groundwater well, but the treatment capacity at the plant allows us to move forward and treat and be ahead of that growth that's coming to that part of the county.
We have a motion and a second. Please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zaganino,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Agenda item number 4, discussion and
Possible action on capital.
Gannett Fleming contract presented by Michael McClendon, Upper Basin Regional Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. With this briefing, I'll be seeking the board's authorization and approval to contract with Gannett Fleming to help us move forward with the concrete and structural assessment of Moore Shepherd Dam, and then to help develop a plan to address the necessary repairs associated there too. If you'll remember, back in April 2016, the board authorized staff to begin negotiating and executing a contract with a firm to perform a concrete and structural assessment of the dam. After a lengthy effort to reach an agreement on how to proceed with the scope and fee, those conversations, those discussions, negotiations were discontinued. Gannett Fleming had also responded to that RFP back in 2016. They were considered an extremely strong and viable candidate, and they could perform the work, and they can do so very easily. So once those discussions with the prior firm fell through, we began talking with Gannett Fleming, and we've reached an accord with them on how best to proceed with this project. A little bit of history here. You're all aware, Moore Shepherd Dam was started construction in '38. It was completed in 1941. Our objective at this facility and all our infrastructure facilities is to extend the service life of those facilities. And that's our intent here with this project. When we began those discussions with Gannett Fleming, we sat down and we determined that a phased approach would be the best route with which to proceed. It's moving forward in a phased approach will allow us to be methodical, it'll allow us to be efficient, and it'll provide reduced scope changes as you move forward with a project that's as expansive as this. So you can see here in phase 1, it's going to consist of the development of an investigation and testing program. And then phase 2, you'll see the execution, and that'll be the carrying out of that investigation and testing program. That's usually the most expensive component of the study phase. Phase 3 will be an analysis of that investigation and testing program. And then phase 4, what you'll see is we'll have a matrix that'll be developed that will help us identify those areas. It'll incorporate risk assessment into that, and it'll help us identify those areas that we need to focus on and target upon. And I'll expand upon that in my last slide. This slide shows you the list of services that Gannett Fleming will provide in phase 1. Of course, a site visit, data collection, then structural evaluation, PFMA, and supporting technical information update. That's looking at the geology, hydrology, hydraulics, seismicity, looking at any plans, updates to the plans. And then what will come out of that effort will be preparation of the testing program to proceed in phase 2. This slide, it's an illustration. It's not actually an assessment of any of our structures. Gannett Fleming provided this slide to show us kind of what we would see in the end. And what you're going to see, it's going to be a tool that's going to direct our efforts and focus projects and activity that have a greater risk. So explaining this slide, once we go through the whole process, You might have something that shows up in like this quadrant right here. Red's going to mean that it has a greater potential for risk. And so that's an area that we need to focus on, a project that we would need to budget for accordingly and take action sooner than something that might show up down here in the green quadrant. And to give you an example of that, we may have like a corbel at the dam that's showing delamination or cracking and spalling. And if it showed, once we go through the process and it showed up in here in one of these red quadrants, we would budget for that sooner rather than later, as opposed to if you just had a small pump that was not operating correctly and it showed up in the green. So we're going to prioritize our projects and know what repairs we would need to proceed with first. I do have a resolution for your consideration. I can answer any questions. If you recall the write-up, Gannett Fleming's fee was $535,000 for this phase one. As you can see here, I added about 10% in case there's any unforeseen services. I don't anticipate that occurring. Gannett Fleming's performed well on a lot of our other contracts, never over budget, and most likely they come in a little bit under budget. But I can take any questions if y'all have any. Yes, ma'am.
When I was reading this, I was thinking, how much longer is this going to allow us to use that dam rather than having to build something new? Or will this tell us that?
I don't know. You won't get a definitive answer, but it will extend the life of the facilities. If you read a lot of the literature, it says when these structures were first constructed that they had a life expanse of about 100 years. This would get us, we're already approaching about 80 years. There's no imminent, we've done assessments and there's no safety issue associated with the dam existing, but this will allow us just to continue that effort out. I can't give you a definitive number, but it should be a substantial amount of time, and it'll be a lot cheaper than trying to build another dam in another location.
Director Johnson, that's a really great question. And when we sit and talk with the Corps, which owns a lot of dams in Texas, all of our dams are getting to where they're all, the ones that are 40 and 50 are young. So the process of how we're going to figure out the extended life on all of these structures is going to be, it's going to be a focal point going forward, for sure. And I think there's a lot of old dams. Obviously, in our opinion, we've got to figure out, you know, the smart way to spend money and move forward to get the life out of that dam before we look at, you know, I would guess, billions of dollars to replace these dams.
Director Rankin.
My comment is off of these two, and it's just a comment or a question. I don't know the answer to this, but when I look at the Brazos River Authority, I see an organization that cannot fail financially because we sell a commodity that people can't do without. So when we make financial decisions, we're basically deciding who's going to pay for these things. The current rate holders or rate holders sometime in the future. But somebody's going to pay for all this stuff because Texas can't do without water. So when I look at things like Allen's Creek, or I was trying to do the math in my head, we're picking up 3,000 acre feet there. I don't know how many dollars that's totally going to cost us, but it'll be several $100s per acre foot that you're paying for that. I realize that our current rate holders can talk to us a lot more loudly than our future ratepayers can. But how long could any business stay in business if they were selling a commodity for less than its replacement cost? And that's what we're doing. We're selling water for a lot less than it's going to cost us to replace that water at some time in the future when the dams wear out, when we have to dig deeper wells, when we have to do Allen's Creek. Just a comment.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
This study is going to give us a roadmap, to put it in layman's terms. How far out in the future is it going to look? Are we talking about a year or two? And that may not be a fair question, but are we going to be looking down the road a ways so that we really do add life to the...
Oh, right. I mean, my anticipation, I didn't really want to throw out a number, but I mean, I'm looking for, you know, another 50, 100 years, and that's not out of the realm. But we will. This isn't something though that you can just a pinpoint in time and address. You've got to continually maintain that facility throughout, and that's something that I think that we're doing. So this study will go on, and we'll perform the necessary repairs, but we'll continue that throughout the process. And so, I would hope indefinitely that you could continue to upgrade the facility and maintain it, and I would love to get to a point where you never had to completely replace the facility.
Well, if the plan is gonna look that far in the future, I'd suggest this is pretty insignificant cost compared to the length of time that you're talking about for the planning.
I agree.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
How long will the engineering study take to be completed?
Phase 1 will take 11 months to complete. As I said earlier, the key here, I think, is a slow, methodical approach to tell us what we need to test and study. And in the end, you get a better product when you do that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Has the Corps of Engineers ever shut down a dam and replaced it? I mean, they have the oldest dams in the country, don't they?
I can't answer the second part of that question, but I'm not aware of them doing a major replacement of a dam.
They've taken some out.
And abandoned them, you mean? Taking some out?
Maybe so. Maybe the Bureau or REC has on the West Coast.
Yeah, I know some smaller dams have been taken out, but nothing, to my knowledge, nothing on the size of this.
What about in our basin, the Corps of Engineer dams? What is the oldest dam?
Buchanan is about the same age as this.
In our basin?
Oh, that's LCRA.
Yeah, as far as BRA is owned, obviously this is the oldest, but
we've only got,
look. I can't tell you.
We've only got, what, 3 of 13? I mean, what about all the Corps of Engineer dams in our basin? Are they at the same stage we are?
They're doing the same stuff that we're performing, the exact same type of work. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Any more questions? Okay, read your resolution, please.
Yes, sir. The following resolution is presented for consideration to the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority for adoption at its October 29th, 2018 meeting. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager, CEO, to negotiate and execute a contract with Gannett Fleming, Inc. to perform engineering services at Moore Shepherd Dam in an amount not to exceed $590,000.
You've heard the resolution, the motion to adopt. Bob, Christian, and Ms. Johnson. Please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zaganina,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Dennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Agenda item number 5, discussion and possible action on the determination of interruptible water available for 2019, presented by Aaron Abel, Water Service Manager.
Good morning. This is an item we bring to you each year in October to establish the amount of interruptible water that will be made available for the upcoming calendar year. So what is interruptible water? It is just that. It's interruptible. The availability is not guaranteed. It is firm water from reservoirs not used in the previous year. So in higher water use years, less unused firm water remains in storage and is not available. In 2018, we've had a very dry year up until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So that does impact things. Interruptible water is sold, at the system rate, and the agricultural use pays for the ag rate for irrigation. We've been supplying interruptible water since 2008 in this form of interruptible water. Normally, interruptible water is purchased for ag and mining use and is used as backup water.
So we have a procedure that outlines all the pertinent details with regard to the interruptible water sales. The annual calculation methodology includes a safety factor established by the board. The purpose of the safety factor is to ensure interruptible water sales don't impact long-term contracts. The safety factor provides for a 75% margin of safety, and it's been used in every year since the inception of interruptible water in 2008. Multi-year contracts get first priority on the water that is made available, and we also have contracts in interruptible that contain provisions that allows BRA to suspend the use of water if we reach a stage 3 drought emergency condition under the Brazos River Authority Drought Contingency Plan. We did stop offering multi-year interruptible water contracts in 2018, but there are still multi-year contracts in place that will expire over the next 3 years. We also have priority that is given to requests of 1,000 acre feet and less when allocating the available interruptible water. This next graphic here summarizes the amount of interruptible water that has been offered, sold, and used from 2008 to 2018. So the gray bars here in each one of these years represent the authorized amount from the board. The blue bar is the amount that was actually contracted for, and the green is the amount that was actually used. So, and you can see in 2011 was a game changer. Almost all the interruptible water that was made available then is now contracted for every year. In most years, not much actually gets used. The lower basin folks and customers that purchase usually use that for insurance purposes. This slide summarizes who our interruptible water customers are this year and shows a little more detail on which contracts expire and which ones carry over into next year. So we have a total of 86,290 acre feet under contract this year in 2018. 76% of that is with Dow and Gulf Coast Water Authority. 67 contracts are the remaining 24%. So of the 86,290 acre feet, 69,724 acre feet are in the contracts that extend through 2019 and beyond. So these contracts, these multi-year contracts that extend through 2019 will get priority, and the remainder will be offered at a prorated basis to those requesting new contracts. This has been the 6th year that requests have either been prorated or additional water was not made available since 2008. So this isn't the first time we've been in this situation. In each of the last 3 years, we have had to prorate the interruptible water. We have to be conservative in making interruptible water available in order to protect our long-term firm water customers, and that's the main point of the safety factor. I want to point out that in October of 2010, we were sitting in a really similar situation and position that we are in now. In September of 2010, we had Tropical Storm Hermine kind of make landfall on the coast and filled up all the reservoirs essentially. But then, as everybody knows, the rest of the story, between October 2010 and October 2011, we experienced one of the most historic and most severe one-year droughts in Texas history. So at this point in October 2010, we were sitting at 64% full. So we had a major decline in reservoir storage. And, hydrologic conditions, within the basin, as we all know, can swing greatly from wet to dry in a relatively short amount of time. So this slide shows the numbers that result from our calculations for the interruptible water in 2019 as defined in the interruptible sale procedure. Numbers are shown in the second column here. The amounts vary by location, so we break it down by the different parts of the basin. In total, the 2018 interruptible water calculation, or 2019 interruptible water calculation equals 77,438 acre feet. And this is what our recommendation to you is today. The middle column here shows the extent of the interruptible water that is under contract with customers that have contracts that extend through 2019. So these customers have the priority on the water that is made available, and they will phase out over the next 3 years. So by 2021, we won't have any more interruptible or multi-year contracts at that point. So the last column here shows the remainder, the 7,714 acre feet that you get when you subtract the first from the second column. And so the 7714 will be offered to new requests received in this year's application process. And I think I have a resolution, but I'll take any questions.
Any questions? Seeing none, read your resolution, please.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby approves a safety factor of 0.25 for use in determining the amounts of interruptible water to make available in calendar year 2019. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager / CEO to make up to 77,438 acre feet of interruptible water available in calendar year 2019. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager / CEO to use up to 69,724 acre feet of interruptible water made available for calendar year 2019 to supply existing interruptible water availability agreements, and to enter into new interruptible water availability agreements for up to 7,714 acre feet, which shall be sold at the current system rate per acre foot, except for water for agricultural use, as that term is defined in Chapter 11 of the Texas Water Code, which shall be sold at the current agricultural rate.
You heard the resolution. Is there a motion to adopt? Bob, second by Jeannie. Please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zaccanino,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Agenda item number 6. Board of Directors will conduct a closed meeting in the executive session on the following matters. A, to consult with attorney regarding the Brazos River Authority's low-flow project at Lake Granbury pursuant to the authority granted by Section 551.071 of the Texas Open Meetings Act, codified as Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. B, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property in Austin County in relation to Allens Creek Reservoir pursuant to the authority granted by Section 551.072 of the Texas Open Meetings Act, codified as Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. C, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property in Grimes County pursuant to the authority granted by Section 551.072 Texas Open Meetings Act, codified as Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. If you are not specifically involved in the presentation of this executive session agenda item, please excuse yourself from the boardroom at this time. We ask that the public please wait in the break room in order to keep the hallways clear until the executive session is finished. Upon completion of the executive session agenda item, time will be given to allow for staff and public to return to the boardroom. to open session at, time is it? 10:35. And now, Michael, if you'll read your resolution.
Yes, sir. The following resolution is presented for consideration to the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority for adoption at its October 29th, 2018 meeting. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager, CEO, to negotiate and execute a contract with Gannett Fleming, Inc. to perform engineering and construction oversight services at Cordova Bend Dam to effectuate resolution of the Lake Granbury Low Flow Facilities Project in an amount not to exceed $350,000.
All right, you've heard the resolution, the motion to adopt. Jim, second by Chris. Please poll the board.
Break time.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zaccanino,
Yes.
Director Adams.
Yes.
Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
You just stepped out.
Come on. Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
He stepped out.
He stepped out as well.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
All right, agenda item number 7.
If I can, Mr. Chairman, I'd recommend that we take about a 5-minute break and then come back and finish the agenda.
Okay. Discussion, action on amendments to personnel policy presented by Monica Wheelis, Human Resources Manager.
Each year in October, I bring to the board all proposed personnel policy changes. A red line of the copy of the changes was included in your diligent materials. The first change we're proposing is a revision to the general policy on holidays. President's Day was deleted from the second paragraph of this policy, and the intent of this change is to recognize the diversity of our employees by providing them the flexibility to use this day during the year as a floating holiday. We are also proposing to add 2 new policies. The first is a floating holiday policy. This policy will provide employees information about using this floating holiday. Full-time employees will receive 1 floating holiday at the beginning of each fiscal year. Employees can choose when to use their floating holiday. Floating holidays must be taken in the year awarded. They won't carry over, be paid out if unused at the end of the fiscal year or upon termination of employment. The second new proposed policy is a CDL compensation policy. And the intent of this policy is to compensate employees who obtain and maintain their commercial driver's license. We will develop a procedure that outlines the eligibility, requirements, and payment structure for this compensation. Are there any questions about these changes? If not, I'll read the resolution.
All right, read your amendment, your resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby approves the revisions to the Human Resources Policy Manual as presented at its October 29, 2018 meeting to be effective November 1, 2018.
You heard the resolutions, a motion to adopt. Bob and Chris, please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott?
Yes.
Director Bell?
Yes.
Director Zaccanino?
Yes.
Director Adams?
Yes.
Director Bennis?
Yes.
Director Christian?
Yes.
Director Grant?
Yes.
Director Huber?
Yes.
Director Johnson?
Yes.
Director Lattimore?
Yes.
Director Lloyd?
Yes.
Director Luton?
Yes.
Director Munson?
Yes.
Director Rankin?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Yes.
Director Tallis?
Yes.
Director Taylor?
Yes.
Agenda item number 8, discussion and possible action on medical insurance, presented by Monica Wheelis, Human Resource Manager.
This item is requesting authorization for the General Manager to execute all documents necessary to continue our health plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield. Since we have been with Blue Cross Blue Shield, we've had fairly good claims experience. Last year, we were at a 53% loss ratio, which resulted in a 10% reduction in our medical premiums for 2018. We started this year off well. However, we have experienced a significant increase in high-dollar claims the last few months. Due to the uncertainty of the continuations of claims at this level, and after considerable negotiation with IPS, our broker, Blue Cross Blue Shield came back with a 0.2% rate increase for the 2019 plan year, for an approximate annual increase of $5,200. The good news is that our rates will still be 9.8% lower than they were 2 years ago, so it's a very slight increase. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
$5,200, that per individual?
No, sir, that's a total for the organization. It's a very insignificant increase.
Any more questions? Read the resolution, please.
Whereas the Brazos River Authority has maintained a fully insured medical plan with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas since January 1, 2016, whereas the Brazos River Authority's medical plan has experienced an increase in claims experience in 2018, resulting in Blue Cross Blue Shield increasing our medical premiums by 0.2% for an approximate increase of $5,200 for the 2019 plan year. And whereas the estimated employer cost of medical premiums for the 2019 plan year will not exceed $3 million, and the funds budgeted for the medical premiums in FY 2019 are adequate to pay the medical premiums as quoted by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager, CEO, to enter into all agreements necessary to continue the relationship with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Texas to provide the Brazos River Authority a fully insured medical plan at the rates quoted for the 2019 plan year and with the financial parameters set forth in the FY 2019 budget.
Heard the resolution and motion to adopt. John Henry, please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zaccanino,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor.
Yes.
Agenda item number 9, discussion and possible action on interlocal agreement with Texas Water Conservation Association, presented by Monica Wheelis, Human Resource Manager.
On this agenda item, we are requesting authorization for the General Manager to enter into an interlocal agreement with the Texas Water Conservation Association Risk Management Fund, also known as TWCA, to administer the BRA's Workers' Compensation Program. In 2017, the Brazos River Authority selected TWCA to continue managing our Workers' Compensation Program, and the Board of Directors authorized the General Manager to enter into an interlocal agreement with TWCA at the July 31st, 2017 board meeting. TWCA's Board of Directors adopted an amended interlocal agreement in March of 2018 and have requested that the BRA execute this new agreement. We have reviewed the amended agreement and are comfortable with the changes.
Any questions?
Questions?
Seeing none, read your resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager, CEO, to execute an interlocal agreement with the Texas Water Conservation Association Risk Management Fund to continue the administration of the Brazos River Authority's workers' compensation, insurance, and risk management services.
You've heard the resolution, motion to adopt. Rick, second. Ford, please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zaccanino,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor.
Yes.
Agenda item number 10, discussion and possible action on January 2019 regular board meeting, presented by David Collingsworth, General Manager.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, with the HVAC project, the completion time of that project was too close to the next board meeting for us to feel comfortable with having to deal with getting back in the office and getting all the IT stuff and everything back to normal. Our bylaws require that if we know we're going to move a meeting a quarter in advance, that we do so in public forum and get your approval. So that's all this is. We'll have the January board meeting off-site here in Waco. TSTC has a new facility that we're going to use that has all of the bells and whistles that we need to conduct the meeting. So that's what this is about. Any questions?
No question. No questions.
Okay.
Read your resolution, please.
Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes a change of the meeting location of the regularly scheduled January 28, 2019 board meeting, and be it further resolved that the Board of Directors shall conduct its regular Board of Directors meeting on Monday, January 28, 2019, at Texas State Technical College, TSTC, located at 3801 Campus Drive, Waco, Texas.
You've heard the resolution. Motion to adopt.
So moved.
Jeannie, second. Robert, please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zacanino,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Agenda item number 11, discussion and possible action on fiscal year 2018/2019 budget amendment presented by David Thompson, Chief Financial Officer.
Okay, I've got a couple of budget amendments here. The first one deals with our renovation of the central office. We had some additional design work that was done. It was anticipated in the original bidding process, but it does require us going back to FY 2018 and make a budget amendment. Now, why would we go back to 2018 budget amendment? We can't leave the budget period with a project with a deficit. So this extra effort that we're talking about, we will require a budget amendment. See, the original budget was for $16,000. We need to increase it by $56,783 for a total of $72,783. The $56,783 will come from the 2019 budget. We have a little over $3 million in that budget, and we're expecting not to spend the $3 million in the FY19 on the project. The second budget amendment deals with the control. I'll have to look at it again. The controlled outlet conduit platform, and this is at Possum Kingdom. And right now, the design work was designed in 2020, was be done in 2020. We're moving that cost back into 2019, and we're requesting that we increase the budget by $420,000. The original budget was for $30,000, for a total of $450,000. The total project cost is set up at $830,000, so we have plenty of money to cover that from that project site.
We're not spending money, we're not spending more money, we're spending money quicker.
Correct. We're moving something ahead. So with that, are there any questions?
Any questions? Seeing none, please read your resolution.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes and approves the following amendment to the fiscal year 2018 capital project budget as follows. Increase the central office renovation project FY 2018 budget by moving $56,783 from the FY 29 budget to the FY 28 budget to increase the current budget of $16,000 to $72,783. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors of Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes and approve the following amendment to the FY 2019 capital project budget as follows. Increase the control outlet conduit access platform project by $420,000 from its current level of $30,000 to $450,000.
Heard the resolution. Motion to adopt. Wesley. Munson, second. Please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zacanino,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Tallis,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Agenda item number 12, discussion and possible action on recommendation for professional auditing service presented by David Thompson, Chief Financial Officer.
The independent accounting firm RSM is in their final year of their 5-year contract. Per board policy, we're required to go back out for request for proposal every 5 years. We did go out for proposal. We did get back 11 responses back on September 27th. We then went through an evaluation by the BRA staff and came up with a short list of 5 firms that we had. We invited those 5 firms in for a short presentation on October 16th to the Administrative and Audit Committee. And what I have is Director Lattimore will give his brief on the committee, and then after that, I'll read the resolution for approval.
There it goes. We did meet on the 16th. I was present as well as Director Bell, Director Smith, and Bowles. We heard presentations from 5 firms: Baker Tilly, BKD, McDonald and Johns, RSM, Weaver, and Tidwell. We went through a discussion of the firms that have made presentations. The current firm, RSM, has been auditing the BRA for a period of 10 years, and the discussion of our board centered on the fact that it may be good business to periodically change firms, and our recommendation is no reflection on RSM. They've apparently done a very good job. We also considered that Baker Tilly and RSM have a history of auditing other large river authorities in Texas. After some discussion, we selected a short list of 3 firms: Baker Tilly, McConnell, and RSM, and our final ranking and recommendation to the board was Baker Tilly was selected as the top candidate, RSM number 2, and McConnell the 3rd.
Are there any questions?
Just clarify. This is, selection was, or Jim, maybe I should add, this selection was based upon qualifications only and not fees.
That is
You'll
correct.
negotiate fees after a selection's made.
That's correct.
Okay.
Any questions? Read your resolution.
Okay. Be it resolved that the Brazos River Authority hereby authorize the general manager, CEO, to negotiate and execute a contract for professional auditing services in the best interest of the Brazos River Authority with Baker Tilly, Birchall Cross, LLP for the 5-year period. In the event the staff is unable to successfully negotiate a contract with Baker Tilly, Birchall Cross, LLP, the Board of Directors authorize staff to negotiate a contract with RSM US LLP. In the event that staff is unable to successfully negotiate a contract with RSM US LLP, the Board of Directors authorizes staff to negotiate a contract with McDonald and Jones LLP.
Heard the resolution. Motion to adopt. Robert. Second by Jeannie. Please poll the board.
Presiding Officer Scott?
Yes.
Director Bell?
Yes.
Presiding Peter?
Yes.
Director Adams?
Yes.
Director Bennis?
Yes.
Director Christian?
Yes.
Director Grant?
Yes.
Director Huber?
Yes.
Director Johnson?
Yes.
Director Lattimore?
Yes.
Director Lloyd?
Yes.
Director Luton?
Yes.
Director Munson?
Yes.
Director Rankin?
Yes.
Director Smith?
Yes.
Director Tallis?
Yes.
Director Taylor?
Yes. Agenda item number 13, discussion and possible action on renewal of investment advisor contract presented by David Thompson, Chief Financial Officer.
Okay, the board back in October of 2014 approved the selection of Valley View Consulting. Valley View Consulting provides a service for review of our compliance of our cash management policies and procedures, plus helps qualify our investments that are all required by the Public Funds Investment Act. Valley View Consulting has a 6-year contract with 3 2-year renewals, and we're in the last of the 2-year renewals. per the Public Funds Investment Act, we're required to come to the board to get approval for their last renewal. We're very pleased with the performance of Valley View Consulting. Therefore, I'd like to ask for approval for their last 2 years of renewal. Any questions?
Seeing none, read your resolution.
Okay. Be it resolved, the Board of Directors of the Valley of Brazos River Authority hereby authorizes the General Manager, CO, to renew the contract for investment advisor service with Valley View Consulting, LLC, for the 2 additional years ending November 12, 2020, with the contract containing such terms and conditions as the General Manager, CEO, shall determine to be the best interest of the Brazos River Authority.
Heard the resolution, motion to adopt. Who's that down there, Jim? Second by Ford. Over the board, please.
Presiding Officer Scott,
Yes.
Director Bell,
Yes.
Director Zaccanino,
Yes.
Director Adams,
Yes.
Director Bennis,
Yes.
Director Christian,
Yes.
Director Grant,
Yes.
Director Huber,
Yes.
Director Johnson,
Yes.
Director Lattimore,
Yes.
Director Lloyd,
Yes.
Director Luton,
Yes.
Director Munson,
Yes.
Director Rankin,
Yes.
Director Smith,
Yes.
Director Callis,
Yes.
Director Taylor,
Yes.
Agenda item number 14, report and possible discussion on the fiscal year 2018 fourth quarter budget report presented by David Thompson.
This is our standard fourth quarter performance of our budget. This is as of August 31st, and there are 3 key elements of our financial statements I'd like to talk about. The first one deals with our revenue, and we were about $8 million over budget, and that's due to other water sales that were not anticipated in the budget. The second is our expenses, where we're first on O&M expenses, we're about $5.4 million under budget. That's due mainly to the Corps of Engineers underspending, some of our salaries based off our employees deferred in hiring through the year, and then basically there was underspending across all departments. The other major variance was our program projects. These basically are about 16 projects, and across them they were basically underspending, as well as some had multi-years that was moved into our FY 2019 budget. The last is the capital projects, which were $20 million under budget. And these, as mentioned before, are multi-year complex projects. Some of the projects we're talking about were Allen's Creek, Trinity Groundwater Wells, and the Tanner Gates, which you all have heard about that we have planned for the FY 2019 budget. This is basically the details. I've already explained the major variances for the top part. I do remind that the other variance we had was the letter of credit that we issued for Sugarland as a performance bond that was approved back in the last board. And last, this is just to show how we spent the money. That's all I have. Any questions?
All righty. Agenda item number 15, report and possible discussion on the fiscal year 2018 fourth quarter investment officers report presented by David Thompson.
Okay, this is the requirement by the Public Funds Investment Act. I'm just showing you the 2-year trends. We ended up at $117 million that we have invested. Here's basically the blocks of the investments we had. We still have a little less than 30% in our money market accounts. The Fed did have increase in their rates in September, and we are seeing these rates starting to increase quite a bit. We're starting to see over years investments approaching 300% or 300 basis points, or about 3%. Our performance of our portfolio is still at 221 basis points and exceeding that of the Texas Pool and Treasuries. And we expect it to go even higher with the Fed increasing the rates again in December, which I'm expecting they will do. Any questions?
Question? Seeing none.
is it.
Agenda item number 16, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at this time. Munson? Up.
Briefly recognize Brad and his team for coming down to an issue in the Lower Basin Borax Subdivision Ranch, which is south of State Highway 35 and right next to the Brazos River. They've been flooded really bad the last couple of years and have formed a flood study team. And Brad brought a representative from the HAF study, and they went down and made a super presentation, candid, straightforward, to try to help those people figure out how to improve their drainage over the years. And I'm telling you what, it was on a Monday, I think it was a Monday, where the sky just dropped out. I don't see how those guys got home because it was really, really bad, but I just, kudos, y'all did a great job. A lot of good feedback.
Did you give a motion to adjourn?
I will.
Thank you. Second? Peter, we're adjourned.
By golly.
Lunch is served.